log in the computer. That's where it's at that particular point, I didn't have it. So we stood there for over 20 minutes.
Depends.
Yep, whatever comes out is fine.
Okay.
So you were talking about the three rooms.
Yeah, the first house. Okay, and tell me when.
You're on.
Just
Oh,
look
okay.
at David. Yeah. Just,
Yeah, you just,
All right.
yeah, don't
All right.
even, just
Don't-
forget that it's not even there.
Oh, all right. Well, I was 6 years old. I don't remember where we lived before I was 6 years old. At the age of 6, and we moved to a duplex, 3 rooms. What, 2 rooms on the first floor and 1 room upstairs. There was a kitchen and my mother's bedroom, and the rest of us 9 children slept upstairs. There were 3 beds, maybe 4, I don't remember. Just beds, nothing else. We didn't have many clothes at that time, so, and anyway, there weren't any cupboards around anyway. And then we lived there till, let me see, I was 16 years old. Oh, we didn't have any running water. We had to go to through 2 lots to go get the water, running water outside. And we had to go through those 2 lots to go to the outhouse.
to the outhouse. 2 lots. You mean they were just empty spaces? Just space?
No, there was a house next door, and then the owner of those 2 houses lived on a 3rd house. Okay, so we had to go through this one yard and another yard to go to the outhouse. Okay,
What was the address of that house?
306 Jane Street.
And that was in Carnegie or Pittsburgh?
Yes, Carnegie.
Okay.
All right. And then when I was 16 years old, we moved to 631 Art Street, A-R-C-H. Okay. My father bought this house from a school teacher. You still want me to talk?
Oh yeah, just keep
I'm
talking.
listening.
No, I'm
You're
recording
talking to
you.
me.
Okay. And we moved to this house on 631 Art Street. My father bought this house from a school teacher for $1,200. And she was so nice when she saw all these children that she let us pay like rent. It didn't even charge us any interest. And every month I used to take the rent. It was the mortgage money really, but it was like rent. Okay. There was no running water. There was a pump in the kitchen. But this is so unusual. The outhouse outside the house had a toilet there with running water. You sat on it, and when you got up, the water went down. I never saw nothing like that. Down the drain. And this house had, well, at that time it had, let's see, 1, 2, 5 rooms, okay? And then my mother, we added 2 more rooms, so there were 7. So there were, let me see, how many more children born there? Joanne, Millie, Johnny, and Russell. 4 more children were born in that house. And I was 20 years old in 2 months' time, and Russell was born in January, and I was born in March. So I was 20 years older than him. And so a little bit, we didn't have any electricity. Well, we didn't at the other house either. And we used to do our, we always had to do our schoolwork when it was light, because we all went to bed when it got dark. And we used to have a kerosene lamp, and so we lived. I already was on I'm on Art Street now. We also didn't have any electricity, but we did have a pump inside our house, and there were more rooms added. Then we got electricity. And then, let me see, what else you want to know?
What did your dad do?
Huh?
What did your dad do?
My father worked for Superior Mill, and he had a job in what they called a pickling room. And he we always used to call it my father had a gift. We call everything a gift, okay? He always had the temperature of that oven or whatever it was, the right temperature, and so the foreman they asked him to be the foreman of that group, that had that I forget what you call it now. It was called a pickling room. They pickle and cleanse the steel somehow. I don't know much about that. So my father couldn't read or write English, so he couldn't take that job. So he was after the kids to go to school. And in those days, kids didn't go to high school. And as a matter of fact, when I lived on North Street, only one kid went to high school beside me. And so my father was after us, talk English. And then we used to do our night work by kerosene lamp. So, let's see, I want to finish the pickling room first. So he was so good at it that when my father retired, the men that were working were always burning the steel. So they used to come after my father retired, take him to the mill, and I don't know whether to teach them, I don't know what they did, but anyway, that's what my father did. Well, my mother naturally didn't work with 13 children, and but she was after us to do night work. And she did not know English. She was very fluent in Ukrainian. She used to, and where she lived, the third class was the highest class you could go to. So she went to the third class, so she knew how to read and write so good that people from the Ukrainian people used to come to my mother's, ask her to read their letters, to answer their letters, and to when their packages, because they were always sending packages to Europe when these people came from Europe, So my mother taught my father to read in Ukrainian. And believe it or not, my mother learned to read from us kids that were doing our work, night work, And, so anyways, just a little bit. And, okay, what else?
Do you remember anything, excuse me, did Bubba and Gigi ever say anything about when they were growing up, when they were young?
Well, they lived on a farm. Well, most of the people lived on a farm, And this is what's very interesting, and it's hard for me to believe. The people had dirt floors. And also, a lot of times their walls were dirt, and they used to whitewash it. As a matter of fact, the cellar, where we lived on Art Street, the cellar was we call it a cellar because we didn't have a basement. It was all, the floors were dirt and the walls were dirt. So we used to whitewash them. You know what whitewash is?
Well, explain the process then.
Huh?
Oh yeah, well what would they do?
What do you mean? They just take a brush and put it in a whitewash in a bucket and just like you paint it, like paint it, okay?
So how's whitewash different from paint?
How
is whitewash different from paint?
Well, you couldn't put whitewash on paint on dirt, but there's something in the whitewash that stuck to the soil that it absorbed it somehow. But everybody used to use it. But I don't know what was in the whitewash. It was a powder, and you put it in water and mix it and put it on. Okay. So anyway, then we got electricity put in. Then we got a basement. There was a lot of remodeling, you know, like when you buy a house.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, what did we do? We just were growing up. My mother cooked. My father went to work. But I have to, you know, give my father and mother credit, especially both of them. I don't want to. My father, not only did he work in a mill, but he wasn't the only one. People did this. We were very, very poor, but we didn't know it because everybody was poor, okay? We knew we were poor, but not poor, 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 okay? So anyway, my father, he had a garden kept by, they used to, during the war, they had victory gardens. He had a big victory garden. He had a garden next to his house. And so, and they raised a lot of food. My father used to take carrots and potatoes, and we used to wrap it in newspaper, put them in barrels, and put them down in the basement. Then they used to buy cabbage by the bushel, and my father would shred the cabbage and put it in barrels too, and then he put pickling, you know, pickling, I forget what you call it.
Pickling salts?
Yeah, something that, well, you know, yeah, it's something, a seasoning. It's a seasoning, okay. And then he made sauerkraut. That's how we lived. We had the garden, in those days, they didn't have no welfare. They didn't have nothing, you know. And you had to do everything yourself. Well, we had a goat too. You heard about the goat. Well, that's another story because we didn't get the goat for food. We got the goat for my father. He had he had ulcerated stomach. Well, that's another story. Well, I want to finish about the food. Then we took onions, strung them up to dry them. You had to get prepared for the winter. This is what I'm telling you is preparing for the winter. And my brothers used to go to the woods to pick mushrooms. And you have to be very, very careful because there's poisonous mushrooms.
How can you tell the difference?
I don't know, but that's the thing. They do know the difference. Anybody, you have to know, and these people from Europe taught these Americans and different people, like my father taught my brothers, okay? And so they'd pick them and we would string them, and for the winter they would, and they used to call them pit pankier, okay. And they were more delicious then, after you cooked them, than the raw mushrooms. And let me see, what else did we, and apples too. We used to do that with apples. People used to buy, and we did too, bushels of potatoes, bushels and bushels of apples, wrapped them up and put them in the basement for the winter. So that, you want to listen to our story, Blanche?
No, I'm helping Luddy.
So, okay, so that's how, and then my father and my brothers, to pay the doctor bill, they used to go, this Dr. Ram had an estate. They used to call it an estate. It was a big house with a lot of property, but they always called it an estate, to trim their hedges and do the grass, and so that's how some of the bills were paid, okay. Then, let me see what happened. Oh, about the food part, let's see.
What was in the garden? What else was in the
Oh,
garden?
everything. All kind of greens, Swiss chard, rhubarb, tomatoes, cabbage, and, onions, of course. But I don't think we had potatoes. See, we used to buy potatoes in sacks. And my mother, they always bought small potatoes. They always wanted the smallest there is. Because my mother would put these small potatoes in the oven, fill the oven as much as possible with these potatoes. And that was our treat, so to speak. we would, if you were hungry, you would go into the oven. Of course, the oven, even if the potatoes were cold, we'd eat them like that.
Yeah. How was the oven heated?
Huh?
How was the oven heated?
Coal. It was a black coal stove we had to polish every week. And you had to buy coal. Okay.
Why did you have to polish the stove?
Well, to make it look nice, you know, because they do get rusty and stuff like that. So anyway, that's what we had in the beginning. Then after that stove, when we had a little bit more money, we had what they call a combination, half gas. Did you ever see that? Half gas and did you? And half coal. So they had that, and then naturally afterward they had the gas stove.
How did it work? I don't know. How did the gas and the coal work together?
Well, on the front of the stove, there was only one lid, like, you know, to put your coal in, and being it's a combination, the coal part heated, because there was no heat, helped heat the house. And also they used to buy stoves that looked like a little cabinet. I forget the name of those stoves.
The stovepipe?
No.
No, not, the stovepipe, not the one that goes straight up, but it did go into the wall. Okay. And they were very nice looking. Then also we had a Victrola. One of those that, you know, you wind, and that was something new, you know. And almost everybody had one of those.
What were some of the albums that you could find in your house?
What?
Name some of the albums and the kind of music that you would listen to.
Just Ukrainian, nothing in English, because this was a long time ago, you know. Just Ukrainian songs, that's all.
Where did they get them?
Well, I don't know where they got them, and then another thing is people used to borrow things. We'd borrow some. They would borrow some records from us. You know, how many records did you have? 2 or 3? You know what I mean? That's all.
Only 2 or 3 in the family?
Huh?
Only 2 or 3 in the whole family?
Records.
Yeah. And then the different neighbors would exchange them?
No, well, what I mean is this. Say I have 3 records, and then you come over and you'll say to me, could I borrow your records? They'll play them, but they'll give them back to you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody borrowed everything. Well, nobody had lawnmowers, okay? A sickle. Sickle. You know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay? Or if you needed a screwdriver, anything. In those days, people were very, very generous. Everybody was poor. So if you were rich enough to have one of those implements, and people would lend them to you. People were very generous in those days. It even put some people to shame in this day and age, because when a woman was sick, she was having a baby, their neighbors would come with big pots of soup like that, and sometimes they'd bring a can of peaches. Or that was, we didn't have things in cans in those days. But sometimes when the canned food started coming in, and if somebody brought you a can of peaches, that's, you know, that was something that, you know, a real treat.
Did you?
And then they bathe the children. They would, and we had a lot of children. We had a tub, a tin tub, where everybody took bath in the same water.
Where was the tub at? In the kitchen?
We put it on 2 chairs in the middle. Put 2 chairs together and put it on the 2 chairs. Because we did that was because bending all over with all them kids. So, well, anyway.
What was the tub made out of?
Tin. You heard of tin tubs?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's what it was. And then I'm talking about these people would come in and bathe, the kids, and they would help out and take care. And then when my mother was very, very sick, the women came in, and at one time the cure-all was putting some vinegar in water and put a rag in it, and squeeze it out, put it on your head if you had a headache, put it over, sponge your body if you had a little fever, and people that's the way they were in those days, because they knew that, well, everybody did it to each other. What I mean is, and then for recreation, people sat on their steps. Hardly anybody had a porch. They had a stoop, so to speak.
I'll be right back.
Mm-hmm.
So they had, and then people would sit on a stoop. Well, we were fortunate. We had a porch and also a porch upstairs. It was a balcony porch. But nobody sat there because we sat on. So anyway, and people would talk about old country, and the young people would talk about their boyfriends and or different things, That was the recreation. And the kids used to play go shippy, go tag, and kick the can. Nobody ever had a toy. And what else you want to know?
What were some of the? Do you remember any of the stories that Bubba or Gigi told you about the old country?
Well,
How about brothers and sisters? Did they have brothers and sisters?
who?
Bubba or Gigi?
My father had 4 brothers. And my mother had, she had 3. Well, I'll tell you this. My mother had 2 brothers and 4 sisters. So my mother came to this country to her sister's place.
I'll be back in just a minute, 10 minutes, and then they want to go to Gary's house. They want you to see Gary's
I want
house.
to go Gary's
in 10
house.
minutes.
Okay.
10 minutes.
Okay.
Tell him 10 minutes.
I'll drive you down there in 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. You want me to go first?
No, not
you're
yet.
fine. 10
No,
minutes.
Finish the stories.
10 minutes. Finish your
You give
stories.
me- Okay.
Yeah, we'll
All
come
right.
back.
I just wanted you to know that.
Where was I?
You were telling about your mom.
Oh.
Uh,
Oh, yeah.
Sisters.
She came to this, her sister and husband came here first. And they stayed, I don't know how long they stayed, but my mother was 18 years old and she came to her sister. You had to come to somebody's house. You know what I mean? Somebody had to sponsor you.
Yeah.
Okay, so she came to her sisters. And then she met my father, and in 2 weeks, listen to this, 2 weeks, he wanted to marry her. So in 2 months' time, they were married, okay? And my mother's sister, that's my aunt, she did not like this country, and neither did her husband, so they went back. But my mother stayed here because she got married so fast, and she, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So then another sister of my mother's came a little bit later on, and her name was Catherine. The other one, first one was named Justine, and also Catherine and her husband. Well, she brought her son. They brought their son from Europe, and then they had another child in this country, but also they didn't like it. My mother's sister Catherine didn't like it, so she went back too. So and then my mother was the only one left here, from her family. Now nobody else wanted to come after, but the 2 sisters and their husbands went back and told the stories, because they thought when they come to this country, like they used to say that money. I don't know how to say this, but they thought we were really rich. There was riches in this country, and there wasn't at that time,
What time was that? About
Well,
19...
I was. Let's see, I was born 1914. My mother came here 1913. My father came here 4 years earlier. And so, then, no, what did you ask me again? Oh, what did you ask me?
the main thing was if your mom or dad ever told you any stories about when they were young.
They
the old country.
They lived on a farm.
Both of them?
Most of the family, my father had 4 brothers. Most of them lived on the farm. They had farm. Now my father, people that came here from the same area where my father said that my father's family was rich. that riches at that time was you had a little farm, some horses, some cows, you know, stuff like that. Okay, and then my father went to Germany, was close, but I don't know.
Yeah.
He went to work there, and he used to tend to horses, or, you know, groom horses and everything. And then he came to the United States. But his brothers, you know, nobody wanted to come. His brothers didn't want to come. My mother's sisters and brothers didn't want to come because when these work was hard to get at that time, you know. It wasn't what everybody said about the United States in those days, you know. So anyway, and about them, like I told you, dirt floor they had and all of that. And they tended to their farm animals, you know. And the food, they had to, you know, grow their own food. And just like I told you about my mother and father about putting away things for the winter, that's where they learned from them because that's what they did. So then my mother and father, well, they used to write back and forth and send packages, you know, this and that. And when my father came here, the war broke out. I think it was 1918 when the war broke out. And so naturally he wasn't in the First World War. And well, that's all about my mother and father, about their farm life. There wasn't much to tell there, you know.
Did they ever say what when they came over on the ship? Did they come over on ship?
I wish that I always think to myself, why didn't we ask them how long did it take them to be on a ship? And how were they, because pictures that we see by people in the old days coming here, they're all grouped together, those in one section. Only the people with money had a cabin, you know. And I wondered, I don't know why we didn't ask them how long they were on a ship, what happened. It took weeks for them to come here, believe it or not. Yeah. And then about the food, I don't know why. A lot of times I think to myself, well, we were too small to think about things like that, you know. And we had it tough because most of the people didn't have running water in those days, you know, and all of that. That's all came in. Everything came in later.
Did your dad have a job during the Depression?
He had what?
Did your dad have a job during the Depression?
Oh, well, he worked at the mill, and it was like they always had. It was either a union strike, or there was no orders. So it was very, very hard. We practically lived on. We were very fortunate because the school teacher, you know, I told you, she let us pay the house by rent. And then the way my father did the food, we had about 4 or 5 gardens, because Ryerson still, also we had victory gardens during World War II. They would give you a plot of land, you know. And that's another thing is when we think about it, how none of us were ever starving, but my mother used to bake bread. We never bought store bread. And for dessert, my mother made donuts from the bread dough. And then we had this other that I told you about. And like all them potatoes you put in there. And we never had no goodies or nothing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you
remember reading about when what's that?
Excuse me. There was an error in there. You made an error.
What?
Father came here in 1912 to Pete Homer. Mother
See, I
came
can't
in
hear.
1913.
Just tell me. What?
Right here.
What? Father came to this country in 1912 with Pete Homer Wright. He worked in Germany. I just got through telling him that. Tending horses, right. I just told him that.
Yeah. And when did mother come?
Where did mother come from?
Look when they were married.
Came to her sisters. That's what I just told him, Justine. Right. I just got through telling him that. Who didn't like it? You're right. So
When did Mother come?
she came in 1913.
And when did Father come?
1912. You have it here.
Yeah.
No, he came 4 years before Mother.
Yeah.
4 years.
1912 he came, and Mother came 1913, and they got married.
No, Father was here 4 years before Mother, and they. What happened was they got married. Well, I just got through telling. Is that what we're going to hear? The same thing here on here.
Yeah, it's okay.
Father.
It
Well,
wasn't 4
I
years
got
later, Mary. It wasn't 4 years later. It was
Huh?
just a year difference between Mother and Father.
No,
coming.
no, there was 6 years
And
difference.
their age.
Their age is 6 years
But
different.
not 4 years.
My mother was 18 and Father was 24 when they got married. Okay? All right.
Well, I'm
What else
saying,
you wanna know?
No, nothing.
Huh?
This is just the.
See, I can hear, Ross.
This is just some of the history.
Is that the one that you gave us first?
Yes.
Yeah, so what do you want to know?
Well, you said Father was here 6 years before Mother came.
No, 4
4.
years. But they're 6 years different in their ages. Mother was, when she got married, she was 18 and Father was 24. 2 years, my father was here 4 years before Mother, but 6 years difference in their ages when they got married. You have that there. Get it?
No.
What did he say? No.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
Do you remember when Pearl Harbor happened?
Oh, of course.
Well, yeah. How'd you find out about it?
Well, well, naturally, we didn't have no television, okay? We had a radio. And then this radio, it had it squealed, squeaks, everything, and you have to adjust this and that. Well, anyway, we heard about it on the radio. Well, it was a big shock, and we didn't know what it was all about. And then in those days, you had your radio, and then you had the papers came out with that holler extra. These papers come out 1, 2, 3, and when it were scattered, kids were selling papers everywhere. Extra. Okay, so that's when we heard about Pearl Harbor, and then war was declared, and. Did you ever see that? Were you ever in Pearl Harbor?
Yeah.
I mean in Hawaii about
Yeah.
Pearl Harbor. That where there's that. I think it's the Arizona that sunk, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you want to know about that? Well, actually, we had what they called afterwards. Roosevelt was the president of USA, and we had what they used to call fire chats.
Yeah.
And people that didn't have a radio, because hardly anybody had one. You would hurry up and go, like I told you before. The people were, you could go to anybody's house anytime. So people used to go to other people's houses, and they all sit around in the room to listen to the fire chat, what's going on. And another thing where we got information is, it's not like when we had these other wars. Pearl Harbor was Second World War. That started the Second World War. We didn't have what we had when we had this in Iran. What war did we call that when Bush was there? What was that Gulf War?
The Persian Gulf War, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we had all the information, more than we wanted, everything, but in Pearl Harbor, no.
Yeah.
And then we'd go to a movie, and before the movie, they had news.
Yeah, newsreels.
And we got information on news, and that's when a lot of numbers for they used to pick numbers out, for the draft, okay?
Yeah.
And then you would hear on the news at the movie whose number was called.
Oh, really?
One time, there was somebody in the movie that their number was
Oh,
called.
really?
And yeah, squeaking, you know, oh yeah. Because, and then my brother, Wassels was the first one in our family called. Okay. Then they called my brother, Wassel, no, Mike was first, and then Wassel, and they said they would not call any more than 2 in the family. But the war escalated, so they called Andrew.
Yeah.
He's the third one. And then more, they called, let's see, there was Mikey, Wassel, Andrew, and Luddy. And then there was even, they said they, well, like I said, they wouldn't call more, but they were doing that everywhere, not
Yeah.
only our family, you know. And then what was nice, people stuck together wonderfully, just like I told you before when we were poor.
Yeah.
Okay, now, you know, when they used to have these flags, and they would tell you if your son was lost, the star, I mean, you would put this in your window. We had four in the army, so we had 4 stars on a flag, you know. Is that Luddy?
No, that was Richard.
Oh, okay, because I was going to call him. And then if you had a gold star, I'm not sure about this. I have to ask somebody, but I don't know who. They have gold and silver stars. Now, which one was which, I forgot.
Yeah.
And if you lost somebody, then you would put either the
different
silver,
okay.
and then you would put this in your window, this flag, and then this, it was like a banner like this.
Yeah.
Do you ever see one? No.
No.
And then in church, they used to have a banner like 2, and everybody's name there, and then if you were like lost, or you know, not lost, but the missing wasn't there, but if you already died, and you know, and so, and it was so sad, because you know, in church, naturally people prayed, so there was one of the doctors was missing in action, and they were praying. And then they says, we're going to pray for Dr. Popichok. He's still missing in action. And his wife screamed out loud, you know. And it was so sad. It was so sad. You know, I don't care whether it was home or like Luddy. He met somebody from Carnegie, only that lived near us. And then guess what happened? Their name was Wozniak. Wozniaks and I and our family used to exchange letters. If Pete had a letter, or my brother, we would, you know, take it to each other's house.
What was his last name?
Wozniak.
Wozniak? How would you spell that?
Wozniak.
Really?
That was the one that was in the same.
Wozniak, really? Huh.
And then this is I thought this was cute. My brother Wassel, probably every boy did this. When they heard somebody was coming from Pennsylvania, and they would hurry up and go there to see who it was, to see if it was somebody. Don't forget how big Pennsylvania is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And well, you know, you become close buddies.
Yeah.
What else you want to know? But
What was the first car that your family ever? What was the first car your family ever had?
Wassel had a black sedan.
Oh yeah.
And he used to polish it. Oh, I gotta tell you this. Wassel and Luddy played the tuba, in the band in high school. Okay. So they used to, all of this was brass, and they'd be on the porch polishing it. I'm telling you, they took such good care of those. You know, it was a different time they played, because they went, you know. And then below the tuba, this is there goes Wassel or Luddy with the tuba. And then my brother Johnny played a horn.
Hmm.
But he had my brother Johnny got he had rheumatic fever. We didn't know it till, believe it or not, until he started playing his French, some kind of horn in a band in
Yeah.
high school. When maybe he got out of breath or what, I don't know. So anyway, when he went to the doctor, somebody took him. They found out he had rheumatic fever, so he had to give it up.
And so Wassel was the first one to get a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and he used to polish it. All the kids in the neighborhood, everybody came around watching him shining it. You know how, not today, but in those days, if somebody had a car, wow, they took such good care of it. I'm telling you, they spent hours on it. And he used to only go one block. There was a club there. He would go one block with the car. Like, say, from here a little bit further than there. Who is this?
The good looking one.
Come on over here. Is that Carla?
Yes.
Well, you know how bad my eyes are, Carla. Okay.
When was it? The 1930s?
I don't know when he wasn't married then.
Yeah.
I think that's before the army too. And they says, oh, there's Wassel in his car. He was one of the first ones to have it.
Yeah.
You know those black sedans, like, you know.
Yeah.
Did you talk about the money?
The
You
money
know
went
what?
back.
You know what? I'll tell you what. We have abundance of everything. We have all new technology. We have everything. But you know what? Those days when we look back. Okay, is that Gary?
Nope. Gary just pulled in his house. I'm Jack.
Who is it?
I'm Jack. I'm Carla's boyfriend.
I can't see. Who did you
Yes,
say?
Jack. It's Carla's boyfriend.
Oh, okay. I'll look at you when I get to.
That's good.
Oh,
Now I'm part of your interview. So
Yeah.
that works out well.
Okay, now, shall I go now?
A few minutes. Gary just pulled up.
Oh, okay.
Gary just pulled up.
Okay,
So
what else you want
I
to know?
want to know how Wassel got the money for the car.
Well, he was working. Oh, I got to tell you about what jobs they had. Okay, we were all working when we were real young. All of us, me, Luddy, and Wassel, and Olga, we worked, and Mike. We all worked from the little, when we were not little, but young.
Yeah.
Now, he worked in a slaughterhouse. Wassel worked in a slaughterhouse. They used to bring in the sheep, and what, I don't know what else, okay, but I remember the sheep, in the box cars to the Carnegie station, and they would have to bring these animals through the main street and to the slaughterhouse.
Oh.
So that's where he worked, in a slaughterhouse.
Did he pay?
And then he used to,
Did he pay for the car all at once, or did he give installments?
No. Who could pay for a car all at once? Who knows? No,
No one.
never. But I don't know how he paid for it or nothing, okay? But anyway, and then he used to bring home, see, in those days, the kids gave their money to their parents to help them. Everybody did. The older ones, not the young ones, but that time we were married, they had it easy. And my mother would give them so much, like Lonnie said one time he got $5, but, or enough for car fare if you work where you had to take a streetcar. And, where were we now?
The jobs they had.
The job, yeah.
So Wassel worked at a
At the slaughterhouse, and then he used to bring these big, we used to call them jumbos, but this was in bologna. But they were the real big, now they don't have them that big, they were that, they were real sort of round. And then he used to bring our food, he used to bring whatever, I don't know, different things home. And then my brother, Mike, he worked in don't forget, we're all young, like 16, 17. He worked, I don't know, maybe he was 18, but I don't think so. He worked in a hot mill Same place my father worked at Superior still. Then, like you was asking me before, they had, during the Depression, they laid off men. And so then he got a job in a ice factory where they made ice. So he worked there for a while until they called him, his number was called in his service. And then let's see. And I was only my junior high school and my senior high school. Went to school all that time, junior high and high school, and I used to go and stay with people like live with them. And help them out, like after school, to straighten
Like
up,
older
watch
people?
their kids, huh?
Older people or people with kids?
People with kids.
Yeah.
No, not older. And help them with that, And then, even through high school, I did that. And then I made a few dollars. I made $2.25 a week.
A week?
A week. And
Really?
gave it to my mother. And then that was less at home to feed and clothe.
Yeah.
And as far as furnishing my mother's house, they used to buy from secondhand. Everybody that came here almost from the old country and didn't have no money, they would buy at a secondhand place. There was a lot of secondhand places. So when I already, was working, I bought my mother her first living room suit. It was a wicker set. Okay? All right. And then I bought a real nice second-hand library table, real big. Then my brother, no, not my brother Mike didn't buy any furniture, but Luddy here, he went and he bought a bedroom suit for my mother, one of the bedrooms, and he took all the furniture out. There wasn't too many, there was some kind of a cupboard and something. And I heard him the other day, he said that my father was real mad about it. He took that old furniture in the back and burned it all up. There was only about 2 pieces,
Yeah.
Let's go look at Gary's furniture.
Okay,
Yeah.
Let's go look at Gary's house.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, let me
One card.
One card.
Everybody got one.
It's coming right here.
7. Ace.
Ace.
3.
Dead. A 9.
Where's that?
All right, now what we do this time is we play again, but you only pay for your face cards.
And then you have the face.
10 and up you pay for, otherwise.
I've got proof now.
in my old
Hey,
age.
Sylvia! Your husband needs your husband over here.
I'm gonna sit down for a minute.
Here, I'll lend you some.
Like the green stuff.
So who would that be?
Carla, your dad needs some money.
So who's got the most? I'm assuming Luddy does. Look at all that. There's
Well,
a
he
pile.
has a check and catches it.
That's it, I just started checking.
He's not broke, we know. Not
This
tonight,
is from
anyway.
Mary.
Oh my God.
No pennies, no pennies.
No pennies.
You can have your pennies.
It looks like you need some there. I've got.
I got it, your fault.
I think it's already 73, so somebody there is 40 years old.
Good, that's
So
good.
do I.
Remember, you only pay for your face cards. Face cards up. King.
King.
Pay.
Nickel.
No,
Not you,
Just
just
him.
the one that has it.
Queen. Pay.
30 years old.
And I couldn't, so I said, okay.
But's looking in
It would be
it.
30 years
Three.
old.
Three.
I was looking at that too.
9.
What's her family?
Brigham were Myers.
Right,
Who does she remember?
Aunt Helen
There's one of that Helen, somebody.
Well, no, okay, so Aunt Helen has.
That's her maiden name, so she
Lori.
married.
That wouldn't be Lori's kids. That would
No,
be-
she married a Cole.
She married a Claire.
Wassell's family?
No, from Helen Clear.
Oh,
Ace.
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 Bingo. There, bingo.
Put a nickel in.
Okay, there's your dime for the
pot. It's like bottom of a nickel.
Who has it?
I had
Yeah.
He has money in his pocket.
Geez, everybody's feeling sorry for him.
I didn't ask for money, did I?
No, they just told me to need it.
Everybody has.
He had a wad this big Sylvia before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw it.
On the
Sitting on
calendar.
double duty.
And
I
Mary
know.
Ann and I couldn't figure out who she
Pulled
was.
out this wad.
Get that dirty dad.
This is a penny.
And Luddy.
This was in my bag. How much was that? Where'd you get it? 10 years
You
ago.
had an ace too, didn't you?
Yeah, but I didn't go beat
No,
her.
it's
Oh, so just me and him.
Yeah, right.
All right,
Nice.
who's
Not
married?
Oh, he was married though.
Gotta watch him every
Did
day.
he turn into a clear?
Yeah, he was married.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, actually was, yeah.
So
No,
that
I don't
could've
think
been
he ever legally adopted him.
Well, it's not like
But he went by
changed the
clear,
name.
yeah,
It's not like
right?
it's the law, though.
David, did he really adopt
David
him?
Clear, ask him.
Okay, I was wrong,
Ask
he did.
him, he did. Ask him Blanche if Ashley's wife's name is Becky.
You knew it, but they're not married anymore.
You knew the answer,
Oh,
but
so
there's
there's
She
a-
wants to be on there.
All right, there's good.
Scratch her off.
None of my ex-husbands are in there, Sue. Yours either.
No, they're not.
No, I got mine off the wrong test.
Mary Ann's was on
Mary
the
Ann's,
calendar.
Mary Ann's were, and so was
About
Buzz's.
Aunt Blanche doesn't know if they're
10
divorced.
cents for each card.
She doesn't know if they're divorced.
I don't know.
Well, I only have one
I'm
ex-husband,
asking Helen.
Sue.
Check.
I only have one.
I only have one ex-husband too.
I have a dead one, but you don't count.
But he's been married, my ex-husband's been married 3 times.
Has he?
Yeah,
So I
really.
have 2 exes, but one since, I only have one.
Well, Christ, he didn't have any money and he, no, I was gonna say something else.
You better watch
I
him.
know,
Now we all know what you were gonna say, though. So guess what?
That's it.
no. Now you know what I was gonna say.
10 cents for another card.
Okay, so
All
I
right, so
know
who else
these
don't we know?
people.
Alright, now see, it's,
We did that
we
last
were
night.
trying to figure out how to say your last name.
Shermowski.
And Paul, and I'm going, he says you're Polish, you should know how to say it.
Actually, it was Shadamovsky. When I was a
Shadamovsky.
kid. Shadamovsky, yeah.
Shadamovsky.
It sounds like a Russian
That's
ballet.
why my dad went by Sherman. None of his
Your
friends could
grandparents
pronounce
like
his
dances
name.
the ballet.
Oh, I got
Yeah.
some money for that, huh?
Oh.
You don't even have my married name in there. I don't go by McCaskey.
2 4s.
Don't tell me your
I'm
sister's
just
the one that
saying.
did this.
5.
Not that it's any different, the first 2 letters are
Clear on
different.
top.
Susie said something
The what?
about taking you.
My maiden name was Monkowski, my married name was Bonkowski.
Okay.
Yeah,
First 2
Billy
letters
said
are
something about it
Billy
too.
said something about it. Phil
Now,
said
see,
something
how
about
often does that
Where's
happen?
Billy
But
get
where
that
you're,
from?
if
Helen, she's staying at Helen. She said she
Still
could just talk about Helen's car and come and pick us up.
I'll tell you what,
it. Sue says she's right by, yeah, Sue says she's right by Mary Ann's too, so.
now they're
Okay, they can
saying
arm wrestle for
because
it, I
the
don't know.
grandchildren
Yeah.
know.
She was gonna come.
Yeah.
well, you know
But
what?
she came out for that birthday, so she.
Yeah, 6,
Well,
7,
Steve and
8,
Michelle,
9.
this is
This is off.
And
It's no
she's
big
still
deal.
their
That's the
mother.
part that's
Yeah,
off.
that's why I think they were leaving.
David, are you just filming your
Like
dad's
my
mic?
ex-husband, I
was
had
on
no
there
children.
because
No, these guys.
Vaughn Davis.
Yeah.
Now
And
it's
Bryce's dad was on there because of Bryce.
No, now it's on.
Jason's dad should actually
Gotta click
whether
on it.
he's dead or not. Just in case.
He's still dead.
No. Yeah, he's still dead.
Now
We
it's
should
off,
have
not
a
like
page
that.
that says deceased
I mean,
members.
why would, yes.
We should have
Well,
like
this
a
is
little
selectors
deceased.
of them.
Daddy and I just counted him this morning.
He's gonna stay dead too, believe it or not.
That's, I mean, just, there should be something on there that's like a deceased member.
She's
Well,
real married.
put a birthday
Real bad there. That is a family.
I'm busy filming you
When-
guys.
like when I'm going to-
If I ever get around to having kids, I gotta see all this fun.
You're married over there.
Jason's
I know.
He interviewed her.
But for history's sake, he's my son's father.
Oh, she said his Mary's.
Oh,
Well, yeah, when
dead or alive.
I don't think she's his
Yes,
Mary yet.
right.
So it should be on there
Put
just.
Diane.
Well, it's about
You
time.
know what,
jeez.
too? When we
Give me a
went to
couple
the
weeks.
other
All right,
meeting, and I
let
should
us
have
know.
They gave us,
Thank
the
you.
day we were leaving, everybody got a
Do you want me to look at it for?
And there, it started with
Cornered.
Paul's
What year
grandmother.
is this? The year I was born, 1970.
Paul's great grandparents.
The years you
I
want.
was born in
I didn't see which way you went, Mike.
Any way you put it up.
And Mary said I gave her 5
Bingo.
minutes, or not even that, and then I went
All
in
right.
like,
Then I went in and
Line,
said, oh,
okay,
they
and
want
my
you to go
grandfather,
home.
yeah.
What are we playing?
grandfather-
Bingo.
Bingo.
Doing all the
Well, she is.
David, my grandma
Did
lives
Laura
in
let her
India.
give it to me?
I mean, like, she knows back to Charlemagne.
That's ignorant, but.
So David's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Let's type in my name. And we couldn't find my relative.
All right, it's time I win bingo.
There you go again.
David types in his name, you all show up.
They did.
Put another one in.
Okay.
So,
Ready?
I mean, I think-
Yep.
How far back?
5.
I don't know. It was
2-5.
How far back is that?
That was my mom's side.
There's another one. On,
Deuces.
Two of them.
first of all, the spelling.
15
It's
cents.
15 cents.
my name is spelled like 3 different
You
ways.
just get it. You
Can't
just get it
afford
that way.
this.
Sixes.
6.
But you can't get like the
10
homeless.
cents.
Like,
Uncle Russell said that the long one was the correct one.
6 is dead.
H-A-L-Y.
5's dead.
Yeah, well, the front of
Jacks.
it will
Jack.
But then there's the spelling.
That's a
that
dime.
you do.
How much?
One
Sorry.
card.
So I have the one that's,
There's two that are, I have the.
10. 110.
15.
Oh, my.
And then there's another U,
Yeah.
C-Y or something.
For the first name though, right? Not for the family name. The family name was spelled C-H-O-R-A.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And
8.
her maiden.
1 nickel?
Yeah, nickel.
I'll try it. I got that back.
If I told that you would fall, but how money gonna fall?
King.
King!
10 cents.
In Boston.
Oh.
Did?
4s. I got a 4.
15.
Oh, I thought you said a bus.
One card.
There.
8s are dead.
Girls' names was Mang.
3.
What's the other dog's
Dead.
name?
Kings.
I'm so glad I
Yeah.
didn't reach out.
Queen.
Queen bingo.
That's
10 cents. I'll try to make it.
I had a 9.
7 and a 9.
I had a 7 in the game. Uncle Luddy
Oh,
knows.
I put them in. Turn around everybody's
Stuck in the
hand.
middle.
Wasn't an ace in the
We're oldest
pile.
and like the youngest going.
Yeah,
I gave up. David and I were sitting on the grass and I was like,
Wow.
go talk to Aunt Mary.
Uncle Luddy, you're doing sweet stuff up.
No.
Who wants to play? Phillips.
I
You're
was-
supposed to know.
I got all the answers from Mary and then I
So
stuck
then I got all
inside.
like made a fresh copy this morning.
Did Richard come back?
Get a white sheet.
Not yet. Johnny was younger than
I don't know what he's
Joey.
We're waiting.
That's a good
Well,
idea.
Billy and I got
Because I
it.
have
I thought she knew
My
more than me.
friend, you know, I'm saying.
Johnny is younger than Angelina.
Yeah, well, look, it's 10 o'clock and.
I didn't know my dad
You want
was
me-
on 5
You
times.
want me to go down and get Billy?
Huh?
You want me to go get Billy?
Yeah, Richard went down. You want to
Okay.
walk me down?
Okay, in the
No, we'll come up here. It's too dark. I'll go get him.
Luddy,
Poke their head in.
Uncle Luddy.
Somebody on.
Add on there, Mary. That'll
Is
be
Aunt Joanne younger than, oh, wait, who's younger, Aunt Joanne or Uncle Johnny?
It's your turn.
Who's younger?
Aunt Joanne, go ahead, give me them in order. You, Uncle Mikey, Daddy.
Okay, Mary, Mikey, Walter, Olga, Andrew, Luddy, Maxine, Ellen, Elizabeth, Joanne, Millie, Johnny, and Russell.
No, Johnny's, Aunt Millie's, I thought Aunt Millie was next to the youngest.
No, Russ, she's the third.
I thought she was next to Russell.
No, she is 71,
Youngest,
Johnny
oldest
is
I have.
70, and
Hey,
Russell
Uncle
is
Russell.
60.
Uncle Russell.
What check?
Where's that shit?
You're the youngest.
No,
Who's next to you?
she's the youngest.
And
Ellie's the
then
youngest sister.
I never knew
I'm
that.
remembering the small gas can being up.
I didn't know that.
I had the small gas can, but I brought.
My God, that had been in this vehicle for 56 years and I still don't know my answer.
Luddy.
I've only been in it for 42.
Almost as long as me.
Yeah, you were.
I always have to go like this. Mikey, Walter, Olga, and
I didn't see any
Luddy,
down there.
Maxine.
Here's my
Maxine.
dad.
Oh, you
And they're
know,
almost like a year
maybe.
apart, like my brother and I when we were the same age.
That are
Maxine
four
and
right on the
Luddy
right side of the
were
stairs.
you
Just go
know,
down the stairs and it's right on the right
Jeez.
side.
Well, Diane was right
How about-
yesterday. She said how many years was it?
When that woman next door was cutting her
I
own
mean,
grass.
because the oldest and the youngest are only 20 years
Lady
different.
next
and
door.
there's-
Yeah, when she was cutting her own grass, you didn't like to go talk to her and
I'm
help her out,
78,
did you?
he's 68. My birthday's in.
'Cause that would've been like last fall, 'cause I think-
January.
I
I
used to.
No pennies, no pennies.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what you wanted. I just went for money. I
We're
don't know
going
what
out
the
in
stakes are.
Nebraska now.
I'm gonna make it to 70 too. I thought people used
That's
to
them
play
cheap
for
games you
pennies.
play out there, Penny Annie.
Put your hat on and shake.
People don't do that anymore.
No, not here.
It's a different one.
Oh, I have my fibers.
Where they
And also, I have to change glasses 3 times a day. Luddy's and I, Well, because they're
Your night
light and everything. But these are regular glasses, but they have to be tinted just a little wee bit. But these are the regular.
Now, do you have keratoconus? Do you have something wrong with your cornea of your eye?
I have what they call vascular degeneration.
Okay, now see, I have what they call keratoconus.
I guess it's
The
not.
cornea of my eye isn't flat.
well, we can do
It's
that.
like an ice cream cone.
1, 2,
Now,
3,
and when I look at the
9,
moon with my glasses on, I see like 5 moons.
Yeah.
Doctor said it's very rare. There has to be somebody in your family. The only one that I could think of that had bad eyes was you.
Wait, first of all, my mother had it.
Yeah.
Okay,